I think there's a greater space for PR to be a proper marketing channel. I mean, it has been forever. My God, Edelman's proven that. But I don't think it doesn't have a seat at the very front of the table. It tends to be, here's the idea, go find out where it can work.
Okay.
There are already channels, and for 10 years, and you and I know each other well enough, but for 10 years I've been saying that niche is the new mass.
Yeah.
So let me explain and defend that for a second.
Okay.
So two things. One, there's a lot of places and touch points where people can have these communication tools, and that's why PR should be at the front of the seat.
Yeah.
Period, full stop. It's very different to marketing, but it should be within the marketing chamber. It's very different. And that should be brand-led. And then the flip side of that is, people are like, oh, the trajectory and growth of TikTok is incredible to watch. Yeah, it is. But it's in niche ideas.
Right.
So if you want to learn how to cook, it's really an interesting place. If you want to know about niche fashion, it's interesting. Niche music, super bloody niche. And we used to call that the long tail.
Totally.
So niche is the new mass, particularly in that category, because and the algorithm that's amazing about that platform is that it just learns the stuff that you're either shocked by or intrigued by and gives you more of that.
Yeah.
Which means it's giving you more niche. So it's this kind of cycle. So what I think is interesting, if you use those tools for what they are, which is it's already got the mass, then how do you make sure you're tuning the creativity for this thing that we probably need to measure, which is engagement more so.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And not just engagement, then value. And with value comes what? An alignment. And with alignment comes what? It comes this commitment to a brand. And so if somebody else comes along and says, can you look at me because I think there's more brands going to be launched than ever before, you're going to say no because I understand what this value is, what's yours. It takes a lot of room to sort of carve into that psyche.
Yeah, I think just really quickly to the point on TikTok being niche, I think that's so true. And I think what it's capturing and why it's grown so fast is we're all an amalgamation of different niches. Like I'm not just a 35 to 50-year-old woman that living in New York City put a targeting group on me and start pushing ads towards me, right? Like I'm an amalgamation of like, I like comedy, I like this, I like that, and all these things come together and it creates a fuller picture of who we are. And I think digital has done a really poor job of seeing people as individuals. So I love the niche.
Niche is the new mass. I'm telling you, man, it has proven itself every single time. When you think about niche blogs back in the day, probably 20 years ago, I'm aging myself now, but it happened. Yeah. And you have these verticals. Now you've got these vertical splinters within a platform that allows you to homogenize the content so you know what you're going to get. It's not going to be more than 2 minutes. Yeah. These other platforms you used to have to read. So anyway, I think PR is going to be much stronger than it ever has. I think it's very important for that to happen.
Interesting.
I think advertising as a form is going to sort of pull back from some of this mass media, obvious types of tent poles, I would call them. I think that's going to sort of take a backseat to that as well because there seems to be a lot of wastage around that space. And it's going to be more direct. So direct, because people can understand how it converts, but that's not sexy. No. But it has to be discussed. So the sexy part of it can layer on top of it. So you have two types of creative. You'll have performance media as always, and you'll have the stuff that, is all about the DNA and story and, it's more languid and lovely. And those two creatives will never meet in a dark alley. And they shouldn't. They have different purposes. Totally. Where today it's just boom, splash it as much as we can, hope to God it works, and when it doesn't, cover your ass.